Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to continue on with our Week 2 Power Rankings of the Elite Battle League, and we are not alone. We are accompanied with MattyIce, if I said that right, Stone Family 64, who is also the commissioner of the league. Say hi, sir.
Hi, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I hope everyone is doing great as well. So yes, like I said, we're going to be continuing on with our rankings for this past week. For week 2, but before we jump right into it, I do want to remind everybody to, of course, to hit the like button, and of course subscribe to all of the coaches. Their links are going to be in the description below. Show them some love, as they're incredible people outside of the Elite Battle League. That being said, let's jump right into the number 10 spot. Do you have the standings with you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Great. So we're starting off with the number 10 spot, who we have as the Detroit Lux Rays, coached by Gamer Views, and their current standings are
0-2 with a -8 kill-death ratio.
okay. So 0-2 with a negative. I'm sorry, with a negative what?
-8.
-8. Okay, so -8. So not a good start with the Lux Rays, as we know. They didn't have a great start with the week 1 against the Miami Dragonites, and they got destroyed by by the Philadelphia Flygons. I'm sorry, gamer. I'm sorry. I try to find another way to say it, but it was an incredible matchup, and it was an impressive comeback from iLoneWolf, which we'll get into that in a moment once we get to him. But not a great start to Game Review's season so far. But I believe last season it went similarly, where he didn't have a good beginning record, but he picked it up towards the end, and he actually ended up doing really well. So let's see if this is one of those late starts to the season. But sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, yep.
Oh yeah. But that being said, Mr. Matt, do you have anything you'd like to say in regards to the standings for game reviews?
Just for his battle alone, looking at his side, I honestly, I don't know if he comes in with a full course plan, or if he just kind of wings it when he gets in there, because he had no idea how to handle that right barrier, it seemed. He let the right barrier stay alive when I think he could have took it down, and that I think that cost him, a little bit. And then late game, he kind of falls into the same trap that another team, I won't say who, but another team in the league might be falling into the same trap, leaving Pokemon alive at the end of battles that are weak to other Pokemon, and it just costs you late game. Plus, when you get -5 KD in one match, that is not going to help your record, and it's going to make it really, really tough to make the playoffs, which is one of the main reasons he was placed here. That -5, and like I said, a lot of my focus from last week was on the kill-death ratio, so I'm going to continue that. Probably every week, kill-death ratio is going to mean a lot, especially if you look at the number 1 standings in number 1 positions in the overall rankings. If you look at who's up there, it's ties on both sides because of kill-death ratios.
Right.
So the kill-death ratio can mean a lot, so I'm going to have a big focus on that. So that -5 really hurts him this week.
Right, and just to piggyback on what Matt just said, the kill-death ratio, as he said, it matters a lot, so it's not just about, I have to win everything, and I lost one, I won't make it to the playoffs or anything like that, because you could lose 1, maybe 2 battles, I'm not sure on the numbers there, but you could lose a battle here, and you could still secure a spot in the playoffs for your division. But
yeah, definitely. Max ain't out of the playoffs yet, even with that -8. Like, if he sweeps the rest of the season,
there you go.
He could definitely be in the playoffs.
Yep, there you go. And like I said, he could be one of those late starters like he was last season, where he didn't have a great start, and then all of a sudden mid-season, boom, he starts annihilating people all over the place. So that's definitely something that I would love to see coming from Game Reviews, because in reality, he is a great guy. He is a great battler. He is strategic in what he does. He does have good strategies. Unfortunately, the situations come to where he gets outplayed. So that's something that every trainer has to, keep in mind, the possibility of somebody else predicting that strategy and outplaying them. Yeah. But if there's nothing else to say on Game Reviews, we're going to go ahead and go to our number 9 spot.
I would like to, one thing, just to mention, he dropped from number 9 last week, so he is dropping a position from last week.
I was just about to mention that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. So, going on to number 9, though, we have Lonely Hermit, who is coaching the LA Inferno, and just like Matt said, he originally was the number 10 spot, and he bumped up to number 9. Now, number 9 spot, the reason I feel, or one of my personal reasons why I feel like him bumping up to number 9 was good, was justified, is because he did put in work this battle, and getting I believe his battle went 6-3, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Who are we talking about? LA Inferno? I
Yes.
apologize. Yes.
Okay, so it's definitely, so he definitely put in some work there in the battle. He got more kills in this time, so it wasn't a completely defensive play. That definitely helped him out in the standings. Of course, I also think that this could be that Hermit could be another late bloomer, I guess, for lack of a better term, where he could do extremely well towards the middle and late season. I feel that he just needs to understand his team a little bit better. But Matt, what do you have to say on this?
Definitely came in with a better strategy, had a great battle overall. Just he seems to be battling guys that understand their team a little bit better. Honestly, I could see the Inferno being the Atlanta Bravery of last season. Give him one more week with his team, and he could understand how to make that sandstorm work for him.
There you go.
And he could truly turn this whole season around. So it's going to be interesting when he fights the Ninetales this week. It's going to be really interesting, especially if he can keep that kill-death ratio, or spread that kill-death ratio out a little bit and return it in his favor next week. Because a -3 is not terrible at all in back-to-back weeks. But if you do that for a third week in a row, you're looking at -9 total. So that could hurt him. So he's got to keep that kill ratio down in his favor a little bit more.
I think he's gonna get there too. And you mentioning that he could possibly very well be the Atlanta Bravery's last season late game. That is a terrifying thought, because the Atlanta Bravery last season were a formidable force. I mean, he took out the who was it? The Chicago Score Bunnies, who was an incredible, formidable team back then last season. So imagine if the LA Inferno happened to be following in those same tracks. He could destroy the other teams mid-season late game. So that's a terrifying thought, but also good for Hermit. We just gotta wait for him to get better control on this team, I feel. But his standings were currently at what, sir? I don't believe we mentioned that.
0-2 -6 kill-death ratio.
Okay, 0-2 -6 KD. So that's where he is currently at the number 9 spot. Again, one step above where he was last week, where he was at number 10.
Yeah.
Now, if there's nothing else, we're going to move on to number 8. Number 8 is Jechnician, who is coaching the New Brunswick Ninetales, and his current standings are what, sir?
0-2 with a -3 kill-death ratio.
0-2 with a -3 kill-death ratio. So, a couple of things in Jack's battle that I noticed, and I actually rewatched it for just to get more clarity on a couple of things. For one, he seems to second guess himself a little bit, and number two, I'm not sure how else to say this, but I think.
Faster, buddy.
Okay, so
I'll say it like Timmy did. Pick your moves faster.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it like that, but I think that overthinking might play into the fact that both of his matches have gone to timer, and it's not because, he was last man standing and he's stalling out or whatever, which is a tactic, it's a tactic used by others, especially in the competitive scene for Gen 8. But I think that Jack needs to, yes, choose his moves a little bit faster, but aside from that, the things that he misplayed on were the Zekrom, for example, when he could have volt striked the Incineroar, when he could have volt striked the Incineroar to get some damage in. Instead, I can't remember what move he did, but the Incineroar ended up using Earthquake, and that brought him down to like 10 HP.
Yeah, he might have killed the Incineroar.
Yeah, he could have killed the Incineroar too. And then another thing is he switched onto the Cryogonal with the Quagsire and he predicted. Here's the thing: he predicted the Toxic from the Quagsire. Why not let the Zekrom go down since it was at 10 HP, and you could do something else with another Pokemon? You could have Dynamaxed the Cryogonal, and I don't know. It could have taken a different turn there. You could have gotten a clean switch into the Cryogonal or so. But that didn't happen. Things like that, little misplays like that is what I believe also contributed to the fact that cost him the match. But sir, enough about me talking about his match. What do you have to say on that?
Well, he kept the crazy part about his matches all going to timer is it's not like he's going to timer and he's sitting at his opponent having 5 Pokemon and him having 1. He's keeping the battles close, so he's keeping that kill-death ratio. And y'all are going to hear me mention it for every team, so get used to hearing it. I apologize. But he's keeping the kill-death ratio down in his favor, because if and when he breaks through and he gets that first victory, that kill-death ratio is going to go back into the positive. You know what I mean? So right. It's going to help him later on in the future. If he's using it as a strategy, great job, Jack. But let's make sure. I just want to make sure that we're using it as a strategy and not just wasting time. If that makes sense. So I'm hoping that's what he's doing. If that's his plan, then great strategy. All golf claps to you, or however you want to phrase it. But I'd love to see one time where he comes out swinging, moving fast, and I think if he does that, he could legit tear into somebody with that team he's got.
Because he's got a good team. He's got a good team.
Yeah, he's definitely got a good team, and if he could tear into somebody, he could 3-0 them and end up with a +3 for a weekly kill-death ratio, and that would help him out a lot.
Yeah, I just think that his biggest detriment is just. He just needs to be more sure of himself, I feel, and not second guess himself, and that's what I saw happen in his most recent battle, and that I believe that may have cost him the match. But Jack, as we mentioned before, Jack currently stands at an 0-2 with a -3 for his current standings.
And he's down 2 from last week.
And he's down 2 from last week. So
in the power rankings, yeah.
Oh, that is correct. Yes, you're right. He is down 2 in the power rankings. Yeah. So yeah, just a little food for thought, Jack. If you are watching this, just be sure of yourself. Would love to see a match from you not going to timer, being decisive, and you could do some serious damage. I have no doubts about it. But that's all I have to say on Jack. If that's all you have to say on the New Brunswick Ninetales as well, we're gonna move on to our number 7 spot. Now, interestingly enough, number 7 has not changed. number 7 spot is still being held by the Atlanta Bravery, who is coached by Stone Family 64.
Oh
Their
no,
current
we suck
standing.
again.
Oh no!
Sorry.
Anyway, the number 7 spot is held by the Atlanta Bravery, whose current standings is at an 0-2 with a -3. Now, the reason why we have the Atlanta Bravery still stay in the same spot, despite their loss, is because they, or at least me personally, I don't think that the Bravery made too many misplays. So looking back at their week 2 battle against the Miami Dragon Knights, and I'm not going to say too much on it, of course, because he was my opponent on there, so we're just going to go ahead and briefly share. I'm going to share my points on this. He's going to share his points, and then we're going to move on, just to not sound biased or anything like that. But again, looking back at the battles that he had with the Miami Dragon Knights, he didn't do bad at all, because at one point he did have the Miami Dragon Knights, I believe they were down 3, and they were down. They had one Pokemon more at one point than the Dragon Knights did. So at one point they did back the Dragon Knights into a corner, and obviously the way the Dragon Knights flipped the match and managed to snag the win is, at least I feel, one reason why they haven't changed, because comparing the first match that they had last week with the Iowa Incineroar, which was they had slightly more misplays comparing here. I don't know. It wasn't there wasn't too many misplays, in other words, to not keep repeating the whole thing. But go ahead and say what you have to say, sir.
If y'all get a chance, go back and watch the weekly roundup, and I think Josh sums up this battle really well. The match starts off 3-2 in the Atlanta Bravery favor.
There you go. There you go.
Well, the way it ends is 4-1 in the Miami Dragon Knights favor. So Atlanta kills 3 Pokemon right off the rip and only loses 2, but in the back end stretch of the game, the Miami Dragon Knights get 4 kills while Atlanta only gets 1. You can't be trading deaths like that. If you're going to trade deaths, you have to get the good end of the stick. But the good thing about Atlanta is we were able to keep the kill-death ratio low for ourselves. And, you know, -3, we're sitting basically the same as the New Brunswick Ninetales. So we're, you know, it makes sense that we're 7 and 8 right there together.
Right, but again, the thing that separates the New Brunswick Ninetales with the Atlanta Bravery is that in this matchup, at least, they didn't have as many misplays as the New Brunswick Ninetales did. And as Hermit has mentioned in the weekly roundups, and if you guys haven't watched that already, definitely check that out. His channel is going to be in the description below, and so is that week 2 roundup for you guys' reference. But as Hermit mentioned, and as I've mentioned, and as you've mentioned as well, the Atlanta Braveries had Miami in a corner at one point, and they flipped that around. So that was huge. That was huge. That right there alone is why they haven't dropped despite their loss, and why they still remain a step above the New Brunswick Ninetales despite having the same standings. Anything you have to say on anything more, sir?
That sounds good to me. Sounds like me.
All right, perfect.
Destroyed Atlanta enough as it is.
Now, moving up to the number 6 spot, who is another team that actually moved up from the rankings. I believe they were last week they were number 8. Now they're number 6. The Philadelphia Flygons, who is coached by iLoneWolf. Now, geez, let me tell you, I had the pleasure of watching this battle from his perspective and through GamersView's perspective, and what a huge comeback for iLoneWolf. Kudos to you, my dude. The training that you've put in, all of the effort that you've put in through that battle clearly shows you were ready for any possible scenario that could have possibly gone wrong, and you absolutely, again, sorry gamer, but you absolutely destroyed them. Again, very great matchup. The taunting, the strategy as a whole, everything that Celesteela managed to take away MVP, if I'm not mistaken, for the Dynamax division too. Is that correct, sir? I believe so, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. It had an incredible kill death ratio.
There was actually,
excuse me.
if real quick, there was actually talk of moving the Flygons up one more spot and putting them actually at number 5. But we felt like the number 5 team still deserved to be ahead at this point.
Correct.
It wasn't much that separated the next 2 teams, but honestly, the way the battle went last week for one team, we're still looking at all of it together, but it helped cement their spot in the top 5 for now.
Correct. So yes, and as the rankings go up, as we go up in the rankings, we did have, while discussing this and going over the research and the footage, we did have some disagreements as to who should be placed with who. Lone Wolf definitely was one up there before we looked further into the footage, and of course the Rondups help a lot to settle any disagreements that we might have in regards to the rankings. But again, great job on the Philadelphia and Flygons parts. They absolutely came out swinging despite the loss for week 1, and a massive victory for iLoneWolf. So kudos to you again, my friend. Anything else you'd like to say before we continue on?
Yeah, just that +5 on the kill death ratio. If in his division, if the Miami Dragon Knights or the Redwood Meowth falter at all, and Flygons continue with this winning way, that kill death ratio could help him out a lot. If he ends up in a tie with somebody or needing to fall back on his kill death ratios, he could definitely be like, well, look, I've got this. I've got this +19 over here that I'm starting to build up. So he definitely put himself in a good favor with that +3, because last week he was -2, and he automatically jumps up to a +3 this week. Like that, you don't gain that many points in the kill death that easily in this league. We've never seen a jump like that.
It's not common. Not common.
And this was the greatest deficit we've ever seen in the Elite Battle League. Granted, we are only 2 seasons young, but we've also never seen a 6-0 sweep, so this is one of the closest you're ever going to see.
Agreed. And again, just to remind everybody of their current standings again before we move on, the Philadelphia Flygons stand at an wrong week. The Philadelphia Flygons stand at a 1-1 with a +3 KD. So again, great job, Wolf. Great job. Moving on to number 5, we have Fus-Ro-Dab, who is coaching the Everglade Enteis, and their week 2 standings are currently at a 1-1 with a +1. So it's not bad. It's not the end of the world for the Everglade Enteis. They're still a force to be reckoned with. A couple of misplays that that Fus had on his end, I feel. That prediction that Derek had with that Gastrodon was huge. That made the difference, because Gastrodon would have been annoying, and the fact that he took it out in one blow with that incredible prediction, it probably could have been the turn of the battle there. What do you have to say, sir?
Yeah, so we placed them here, and I know you're going to hear something later that's going to be like, okay, why didn't y'all put the Flygons above the Enteis? And it's going to have something to do with an MVP thing. Yeah, the Flygons got MVP. They defeated their opponent more handedly, and they've got a better KD ratio, and they've got the same record as the Everglade Enteis. In all honesty, what it came down to was both myself and Guineco felt that the Enteis didn't need to drop 4 spots because of this loss, considering that they fought the Kentucky Kinglers this week in a really tough battle. The Kinglers are gonna be tough for anyone to handle. So, and they fight off against the Flygons next week. So basically, that choice is going to be made for us next week. Who's going to be above who next week? So we're gonna leave that in the coach's hands. So we put them right there together, 5, 6. You could basically call them 5 and 5A, but yeah, 5 and 6 right there together. Enteis and the Flygons will settle who's the true number 5, or in a sense, they'll handle that by themselves next week.
Right, and that's going to be one climactic battle. I personally cannot wait to watch that. Anything else that we have to say before we move on to the number 4 spot?
I am all good. I'm ready to talk about the number 4 team.
All right. So number 4, we have the Iowa Incineroar Week 2 standings at a 2-0 with a +3. So look at that standing, dude. Man, this guy probably was one of the most underrated teams. Stone. Probably was one of the most underrated teams in the league, is now turning out to be number 1 in their current division. So Landon, Infernomen. Okay, so joint first currently, but still, it's impressive because everyone was like, underrated team. It's gotta be the the Iowa Incineroar Landon. This is a unique team. I don't see how they can do this, do that. But look at what he's doing, man. He's killing it. He's killing it. Incredible. Excuse me. He's doing incredible. Do you have anything to say on this one, sir?
He's got a +3 right now, but I feel like there are some plays that if he jumps right into it and he starts like attacking immediately instead of it's like in week 1 he did that, but it didn't work out for him. Had he continuously switched in and out week 1, it would have hurt him. This week it felt like had he stayed in a couple more times, instead of switching, that could have helped him a lot more. He's had opportunities to get more than +3, so that kill-death ratio, I feel like, isn't where it could be for the Iowa Incineroars, especially with what he has shown us as far as battling prowess goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he could be in sole possession of first place already, but he's got to wait until this week when he fights the Kentucky Kinglers.
There you go.
And the crazy part is, and obviously we've already said the previous 6, so as y'all can see, if you keep up with the standings and watch the weekly roundups, the 4 top teams are the 4 undefeated teams, and the crazy part is they all fight each other this week. So somebody's getting their first loss, and we will see if this propels Landon up in the rankings next week, and maybe he can spread out that kill-death ratio a little bit more, or if this is going to drop him and maybe he drops out of the top 5.
Personally, I think Landon's doing a great job. He's being very observant. He's very analytical in his opponent's team. So for me to personally say, hey, this person definitely has it compared to the other, it's hard, because you said that he's fighting Derek, correct?
Yeah, this week he's got the Kentucky Kinglers. Yeah,
he's got the Kentucky Kinglers, who are a force to be reckoned with already, given the powerhouse that they have. So
arguably the team of the season.
There you go. Arguably the team of the season. So can't wait to see that battle. Again, like he said, the first 4 teams. Geez, they're. You said that they were all undefeated, correct? Yeah, they're all undefeated. Yeah, looking at my notes, they're all undefeated. That's going to be incredible. Someone's going to get their first loss.
Alrighty. The Incineroars did drop 1 spot. We forgot to mention that. And we forgot to mention that the Enteis did ultimately drop 3 spots.
Yep.
So we can move on to number 3.
Alrighty,
so where the big discussion started.
Yeah, so this is where the big discussion started, and no, it's not what you think, because originally this next team that we're about to talk about, was, at least according to my co-host Matt, he was ranking this team a little higher than when we're about to place them. However, I disagreed. So ultimately, looking back at the footage, and then after me going over my findings and we going over our findings, we ultimately agreed that the number 3 spot for this power ranking is going to go to Guanaco Gaming, who is the head coach of the Miami Dragonites, currently standing at a 2-0 with a +5 KD. These, like I said, the top three, definitely one that we were having discussions with that we couldn't immediately agree on. And here's why I feel that the Miami Dragonites deserve the number 3 spot. One, yes, they are the reigning champions. Yes, they are currently undefeated. And yes, they had a week 1 MVP. However, given the performance for week 2, they I wouldn't say allow, but I guess the Atlanta Bravery managed to get the jump on them for the first half of the match and managed to snag off a couple of more kills. Why is my phone going off? Go away. Anyway, sorry guys, but anyway, so yeah, the Miami Dragonites deserve this spot because I feel that they didn't perform as well as they did, for last week's match, where it was a little bit more decisive. Again, as we mentioned before, Atlanta had the upper hand for a good portion of it before it was flipped. Yep. Now, what are your findings on that, sir?
Yeah, I remember when we were discussing this, your biggest argument was the Dragonites didn't have full control the whole match, where the next team that we will be talking about pretty much had control of their full match, and the team ahead of that had full control, and that was your main big deciding factor.
Correct.
The Dragonites did get a +2 this week. They did get to a +5 total for the season, 2-0 +5. But had they been able to get another kill, that Inteleon on the Cortana surviving hurts the Dragonites in this instance. Because instead of having full standing at number 1 by themselves, they're tied with the Redwood Meow. So had that kill happened, maybe we are talking about a different standing for the power rankings. So definitely the kill-death ratio made a difference, and the full control over the battle, where it flip-flopped between the Dragonites and the Bravery, hurt the Dragonites overall, moving them down 2 spots from number 1 last week to number 3 this week.
And that's not to say that I'm going to be a little bit biased about myself, but that's not to say that the Miami didn't have what it took to counter Atlanta's strategy. Atlanta brought in a Sand Rush Excadrill who hits like a Mack truck without Sand Force, and we're talking about upgraded speed during a sandstorm, right? Who already does damage to Pokemon that aren't rock, ground, or steel. So that Excadrill put in a lot of work. Took out the Charizard like it was nothing, although granted the Charizard was more like a tester to see if it was really Sand Rush or not. So that was a call that Miami had to do to see if they had to sacrifice their current Monda to find out what they were dealing with. And of course the Whimsicott putting out Sunny Day, that took the Atlanta by surprise from what I understand. So that countered the Sand quite a bit, and I believe that Atlanta may have learned from that. Yeah, I mean, just a couple of things that Miami did that still put them on top of the Atlanta Bravery, again, and how they countered certain strategies. But again, their performance just wasn't on par compared to last week's. So that's it. I
personally wouldn't mind seeing a rematch later on in the season.
Again, now. Yeah, so if there's nothing else to say on Guanaco and his team, so we're going to move on to number 2, who, again, we had trouble placing, because this team... Can I
just say, placing this team, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but placing this team this high up, guys, and I know we haven't said who it is yet, but placing this team this high up in the rankings, I'm so mad about it because I expected this guy to do nothing this season. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm calling him out. He'll understand when he sees it.
Well, I'm not surprised. Because the guy packs a punch. The team that we're about to talk about right now packs a punch. And I personally had him higher in the rankings instead of where he's at right now. Which again, for the record, we're at number 2, right? We're at number 2. So the team we're talking about, of course, is Acery, who is currently coaching the Redwood Meowths, and their standing is at a 2-0 with a +5. So they are tied with the Miami Dragonites. They are currently joint first place with the Miami Dragonites. Now, the reason they are above Miami is because, one, as we mentioned before, they had more control over their battle than Miami did. 2, they had, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they had more Pokemon alive than they did.
Yes, he had a +3 this week.
Yeah, so he had more Pokemon alive. So those 2 were big deciding factors for this. Personally, again, I would have ranked this team higher, but after reviewing the footage and after talking it out a little bit more, we agreed that this team deserves the 2nd place spot, which is not a bad spot regardless. Matt says that Matt is a little upset that this team got that spot. I'm not surprised at all. Ace knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to battles. And even in our little fun battles that we've had before the league even started, you know, he's beaten me a fair few times. So I'm not surprised at all that he's ranking this high. I'm not hating on it. But what else do you have to say on number 2, sir?
He is up 2 spots in the power rankings, so he moves from 4 to 2. Continuing to climb. If he can beat the Dragonites next week, who knows? He might take that top spot next week. Sitting at +5, when your KD is +5, you're sitting pretty, you know, especially 2-0 +5. That's never gonna hurt. The only reason I'm hating on Ace is because basically I see this man as a newborn rival for me. So I'm gonna mess with him every week. It's not gonna change. I'm gonna continue to throw shots out there. Hopefully I get a comment from him in the comment section and I'll say something back to him.
There you go. Of course, it's all out of love. Anyway, now moving on to the number 1 spot. Surprise, surprise, we ultimately agreed on Derek, Always More Videos, who is coaching the Kentucky Kinglers. I was just messing around. I knew the team. I will never forget Derek. So anyway, the Kentucky Kinglers, let me go back to their little rankings here. The Kentucky Kinglers are sitting nice with a 2-0 with a +3. So, again, I would have had Ace a little bit higher on this, but given the fact that I felt that they had just a wee bit more control over the battle, over his respective battle. However, looking at other things that occurred throughout the battle, again, we ultimately agreed that Derek deserves the number 1 spot in this week's power rankings.
And he had the MVP.
Okay, so I lost my train of thought. Thanks, sir.
I apologize.
You always interject when I'm about to say it. Anyway, don't be mad at me. Anyway, so yes, I lost my train of thought. Yes, Derek did have the MVP. So that was definitely one contributing factor to him having this spot. And again, we're just gonna go back to that prediction with that Gastrodon. That was just amazing prediction. Yeah. That was incredible.
That prediction changed the whole match.
It really did. That was an incredible play. It even had Fus saying it, like, well, after that Gastrodon died, he even had him saying, he's like, oh my god, that prediction though. Yeah, it shook him. It shook him. But anyway, so those are our current standings. Again, we have number 10, Game Reviews, coaching the Detroit Lux Rays. Their current standings are currently at, I am looking at the wrong thingy. Their current standings are at an 0-2 with a -8. Then we have Lonely Hermit, who is coaching the LA Inferno, and his standings are at a 0-1 with a -3. Third,
-6. You read week 1.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't hurt me. Yeah, okay, so I did read week 1. So 0-2 with a -6. My apologies. My sincere apologies. That is the current standing for week 2. Okay? Then we have the New Brunswick Ninetales, coached by Jechnician, and their Week 2 standings are 0-2 with a -3. Then number 7, we have Stone Family 64, aka MattyIce, aka the Commissioner of the Battle League, aka... I'm just kidding. Wasn't going to say that. But Atlanta Bravery is currently standing at an 0-2 with a -3 for their standing. Number 6, we have iLoneWolf, who is coaching the Philadelphia Flygons, currently at a 1-1 with a +3. Again, nice comeback. Then we have number 5, Fus-Ro-Dab, who is coaching the Everglade enteis. Current week 2 standings are at a 1-1 with a +1. Number 4, we have Landon, who is coaching the Iowa Incineroar with 2-0 with a +3 KD. Number 3, we have Guanaco Gaming, who is currently joint first place in their Dynamax division, currently standing at a 2-0 with a +5. Acery, who is also tied with the Miami Dragonites, who is number 2, and he is coaching the Redwood Meowths, also standing at a 2-0 with a +5. And then for the Mega Division, we have our number 1 team in the league for Week 2. That is Derek Always More Videos with a +3 KD going at 2-0. Again, number 1 team in the league so far. And there you guys have it. Anything else you'd like to say before we close out, sir?
We didn't mention how far the Kinglers came up. They were 5 last week. They moved up to number 1. So they actually moved up 4 spots with their battle. The MVP helped them a lot, the kill death ratio, all that. I want to explain to you guys how close the top 3 actually was. I had the Kinglers at number 1. I had the Dragonites at number 2 and the Meowth at number 3. And to flip it around almost perfectly, Guanaco had the Meowths at number 1, the Kinglers at number 2, and the Dragonites at number 3. So we had to decide, you know, who goes where. We had to, because obviously we didn't agree on any of those 3 spots, so we had to figure it out. The MVP pulls it out for Derek. Congratulations on being number 1 in the power rankings this week. The Kentucky Kinglers did a great job. And like we said with the Meowth, their control over the match pulls them into number 2. And the Dragonites' lack of control, not great lack of control, but just less than what it seemed like the Meowths had dropped to put them at number 3. So that's literally the slight little things we're looking at that decides who gets 3, 2, and 1. So definitely, whatever you can do to keep your batches, you know, looking better in your favor, do it, because we're looking at everything, guys.
That stung. Anyway, so there you guys have it. There's our power rankings for Week 2. If there's nothing else, of course, definitely, again, a reminder to check everybody out, the coaches, everybody. Their good links are going to be in the description below. The weekly roundups are being done by ItsReallyTimmyB and Lonely Hermit. Their links are also going to be in the description below. So if you haven't checked those out, definitely check those out. They're very entertaining to watch. They're probably one of my favorite things about the league, aside from battling, is watching the roundups and what they had to say about every team. So definitely check those out and give those two some love. Of course, drop this video a like, make it turn blue, and subscribe again to everybody. I can't stress that enough. That being said, I'm signing off here. I will see you guys next time. Peace.